the Roman Empire. An eternal city, a civilization that forged the very bedrock of the West. For 1,000 years, its legions marched across continents, its aqueducts carried life, and its laws shaped nations. But every empire has its shadows, every golden age its twilight. And Rome's fall was not just a collapse of armies and walls. It was a slow, creeping decay. A rot that started from the very top. A story of secrets the emperors themselves desperately tried to bury. Today, we journey back into the heart of this fallen giant, not to recount the battles you learned in school, but to unearth the conspiracies, the betrayals, and the prophecies that were whispered in the dark corners of the Palatine Hill. These are the secrets that hastened the end of the world's greatest empire. Picture this. The year is 410 AD. Alaric and his Visigoths stand at the gates of Rome. The city that hadn't been sacked in 800 years is about to fall. But this wasn't a sudden invasion. It was the culmination of decades, even centuries, of internal strife and moral decay. The emperors, figures we imagine as stoic and powerful, were often puppets, paranoid despots, or simply men overwhelmed by a system too vast and corrupt to control. Let's start with the imperial succession crisis. Rome never truly solved the problem of a peaceful transfer of power. For every wise Marcus Aurelius who chose a worthy heir, there was a Caligula or a Commodus, whose reigns were spectacles of madness and cruelty. Emperors were routinely assassinated by their own guards, the Praetorians, who became the ultimate kingmakers. They sold the throne to the highest bidder. Imagine the leader of your country being chosen not by law or lineage, but by which wealthy nobleman could bribe the Secret Service the most. This instability created a constant state of civil war, draining the empire's manpower and treasury. Men who should have been guarding the frontiers were instead marching on Rome to claim the purple for their general. Then there were the economic secrets. To fund their lavish lifestyles, endless wars, and massive building projects, emperors began debasing the currency. They would melt down silver coins, mix them with cheaper metals like copper, and then remint them. People quickly realized their money was worth less and less. Inflation skyrocketed. A soldier's pay, once enough to support a family, could barely buy a loaf of bread. This economic collapse eroded the loyalty of the army and destroyed the middle class, the very backbone of Roman society. Farmers abandoned their land because they couldn't afford the crushing taxes, leading to food shortages and famine. The empire wasn't just invaded, it starved itself from the inside out. And what about the secrets of the court? The imperial palace was a snake pit of intrigue. Emperors like Tiberius ruled from afar, lost in paranoia and vice, while his prefect, Sejanus, orchestrated a reign of terror in Rome, executing anyone he saw as a threat. Wives and mothers of emperors like Agrippina the Younger poisoned their rivals and even their own family members to place their sons on the throne. These weren't just personal dramas, they were political earthquakes that destabilized the entire government. The people saw their leaders engaging in the worst kinds of betrayal, and their faith in the system crumbled. Let's not forget the prophecies and the occult. As the empire weakened, people turned to mysticism and dark omens. There were whispers of ancient prophecies foretelling the city's demise. Astrologers were both consulted and feared by the emperors. Some rulers, like Elagabalus, tried to replace the traditional Roman gods with foreign deities, deeply offending the conservative Senate and the populace. The rise of Christianity also played a complex role. While it offered hope to many, traditionalists blamed the abandonment of the old gods for Rome's misfortunes. They believed the protective deities of Rome had forsaken the city because the people had forsaken them. This religious division created a cultural civil war, splitting society when it needed unity most. The so-called barbarian invasions were not just external attacks. They were a symptom of Rome's internal sickness. For years, the empire had been using foreign tribes as auxiliary troops, or federati. But it often broke its promises to them, denying them land, citizenship, or fair pay. Leaders like Alaric weren't just marauders. They were former Roman allies who had been betrayed one too many times. They weren't trying to destroy the empire at first. They were trying to carve out a secure place within it. But Roman arrogance and corruption turned potential allies into fatal enemies. They didn't just knock on the gates, they were let in by the empire's own hypocrisy. As we look at the crumbling ruins of the Colosseum and the Forum today, we see more than just stone. We see the ghost of an empire that thought it was eternal. Its fall serves as a grim warning. It teaches us that no nation is too big to fail, that internal corruption, political division, and economic inequality are threats just as dangerous as any invading army. The emperors hid the truth of their weakness behind a mask of marble and gold, but the cracks were there for all to see. What do you think? Could the Roman Empire have been saved if its leaders had faced these secrets instead of hiding them? Was its collapse inevitable, or was it a series of fatal choices? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this journey into the dark side of history fascinating, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more secrets from the ancient world. Thanks for watching.